We're very delighted not only to have both Cindy Garcia and Sergio Martinez, but Senor Francisco Zamora, the Council of Protection for the Mexican Consulate. And we'll hear from Senor Zamora now.
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me. I think it's a great opportunity to talk, to meet the realities of this great city and this country. And we know that we are experiencing problems that we can solve together with cooperation of different levels of governments, including the Mexican government. And we are here to listen and to protect our citizens, regardless the status that they are in the United States. So I would like to make comments about 3 or 4 main topics that I think you will find interesting, to understand a little bit the position of the Mexican government regarding the immigration reform, and what are some of the actions that we as a consulate of Mexico here in Detroit, we try to do to help our fellow citizens here in the United States, and also to promote a better understanding between the local community. So first, the position of the Mexican government regarding the immigration reform. We believe in a series of principles. We understand that immigration is not a single or easy phenomena to understand, but have a different points of view, different dimensions that we need to look at in a comprehensive way, and trying to get the input and commitment of all the actors involved. So some of the principles are both in Mexico and United States, they have a shared but differentiated responsibility of the issue. It's a share because it's a problem that affects both countries, but it's differentiated because situations are different. We are sending the people, the United States is receiving the people, so both we need to work together to have a comprehensive system that recognizes the realities and help to improve the lives of the Mexican people living here. At the same time, these people contribute to the society here in the United States. We also firmly believe that the human and civil rights are above or are inherent to any human being, regardless the migratory status. We think that you could have you might lack papers to prove yourself, but you still have rights. And we try to work to make the authorities understand that, to make the societies, to make some of media commentators that rights are inherent. If the person is here illegally or came here because their parents brought him when they're a child, they still have rights. And one of the rights is to be recognized as a person and to be able to contribute openly without fear to the society they are growing on. We also believe that immigration have a human and socioeconomic dimensions. It's not just numbers, it's just not about economics, but it's about human relations, family relations. The immigration between Mexico and the United States are becoming so intertwined. Families are becoming binational families. Around 1 in 3 or 4 families in Mexico have one member living in the United States. And if we make bigger the concept of family, like the extended family, half of the families in Mexico have one extended relative working, living, or born here in the United States. So we need to understand that it's not just people go there, but they have a life and they have a connection between Mexico and the United States. The families are on both sides. I have personally, I have one brother and one sister living here in the United States long before I came here, and my nephews are U.S. citizens, they were here. And this is a very common, and is going to be more common situation for Mexican families, and also for United States families. I mean, they're going to have some relatives or grandparents or someone that born in Mexico. but we share the same blood, and I think we are sharing the same culture, especially the values, the democratic values, the value of respect for human rights. So I think this is something that policymakers, civil society, and media have to understand in the middle of this debate. And we also believe that cooperation between both governments, between Mexico and the United States, and also between the three levels of governments, the federal government, the state government, and the local government, they need to work together to make immigration a tool to make a more safe country, to combat human trafficking. Unfortunately, immigration opened the door to some crimes. I mean, there are people who take abuse of migrants, and they are committing human trafficking. The Mexican government is very committed to stop the human trafficking, and also to stop organizing crime on the borders. And the best way to do it is to recognize the people, to know who is living in the United States, giving them an identity, giving them the opportunity to go out from the shadows and prove themselves. I mean, if the immigration reform makes them a person on the legal meaning, I mean, on practical means, the society could be safer. Authorities will know who is living there, who is driving the car, I mean, who is paying taxes and who is not. So we believe that cooperation towards comprehensive immigration reforms will make both societies safer. And also we believe that civil society is the most important element to achieve an immigration reform. I mean, policymakers, they could be in Washington dreaming on the Congress and having crazy ideas or misconception about what is immigration, or migrants, they just cross the desert, they don't pay tax, whatever. But if the civil society told them, hey, the reality is this, there are families who have members on both sides of the country. There are families who relies on an illegal to earn the income, and if you deport he or she, they are going to lose the father. I mean, the U.S. citizens that born here are going to lose the father. You have to take to the reality, and the way to show them the reality, I think, is the excellent effort that Sergio and Cindy are doing to tell them what the people is facing, what the people is enduring. I mean, the Mexican government could talk at government level with the U.S. government, but if we don't convince the society, the voters, the legislator, what is happening here, it's only going to be a high-level communication. I think the essence of the immigration reforms is what Sergio and Cindy are doing, to speak by themselves from the grassroots to above. And under democratic societies, the policymakers have to listen to those people and to create laws that represents reality and tries to improve the situation of those people. I was thinking of reading the official communication of the Mexican government. I think it's a little bit boring, but basically, it's politics, you know. We have to have very elegant language. But basically what the government of Mexico is saying is we welcome the discussion to improve and to have an immigration reform. We acknowledge the input provided by the economic groups and civil society organizations. We recognize the commitment shown by the increasing number of U.S. actors to ensure that the legal frameworks in the United States reflects the demographic realities, the complementarities between economies, I mean the Mexican economy and the U.S. economy and our societies, and the need for a prosperous, competitive, secure, and efficient border, and the family links and shared values between our societies. We also recognize the priority of protecting the rights of every individual, regardless of his or her immigration status, that is central to the immigration debate. We know and we recognize that the immigration debate is an internal domestic affair from the United States. We respect that. I mean, it is one of the main principles of international politics. We need to respect the internal affairs in every field from one country to another. But of course, we try to respectfully promote an informed discussion of the dimension of the immigration reform and to protect the rights of our citizens, not only in the United States but all over the world, and to try to give input information to the actors of what we consider should be an ideal immigration reform. In overall terms, this is the official position of the Mexican government. And using this as a platform, we try to do actions to help our citizens here, especially if they don't have the proper documents. In fact, we don't talk about illegal or legal. We talk undocumented or documented people, because it is what it is. I mean, as they were saying there, I mean, entering into the United States without documents is a misdemeanor. It's just a civil infraction. It's not a criminal. It's not a felony. It's just they don't have the proper documentation, and many of them, they came even against the will, or they don't take the decision. The family bring them. And why they bring them? Because the system has changed and is not reflecting the society, the realities. In the past, the immigration between Mexico and the United States was cyclical. It was easy to come here. People work on the fields, especially on agriculture sector. And when the season finished, they go back to Mexico. And that was normal. It was even a Programa Bracero, to help to promote or to regulate this cyclical movement. When they start to build fences across the border, and when they try to do more difficult to cross, is when people cross into the United States and decided to stay. And they changed the reality. So because it was harder to go back to Mexico and come back and so forth, our citizens decide to stay and to bring the relatives and to start having a building a life here. So if we want to make the border safe, we need to recognize the need of migration. I mean, the U.S. economy needs Mexicans to work. And what is the reality is societies are getting intertwined. Mexican and American society are mixing. Families are spread along the borders. Also, the population in the United States is getting older, and they need someone to come and work and provide the services. And we need to realize that a law that doesn't reflect the reality could create more problems. Mm-hmm. And that needs to be fixed, because it's not just legal terms, it's because people behind that, it's families, and at the end, our societies and our countries. So in general, is what we try to promote, besides trying to help our citizens or especially the young people who are applying for DACA or for deferred action. In the Consulate of Mexico, we are helping to get the ID, the passport or matrícula consular. Is what we can do. We can try to promote, to give information, orientation to the people who is going to apply. But basically, we give a passport or we give a matrícula consular, a kind of ID that is essential for the applying processes. So I think, again, the position of my government and my personal position is there should be an immigration reform. All the society needs to be involved because it will affect all the society. And this reform or the law that is going to come after should recognize two things. First, the human dimension of migration, and the second, that every migrant, regardless the status, is a human being that have inherent rights, and those rights have to be recognized and protected. So, thank you very much.